Great. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. My name is Aishwarya. I'm an Associate Director and Head of Client Engagements team at Zinno. I'm joined by a great set of panelists here. It's been 40 years, right? Actually, this year marked the 40th year for us for the India GCC ecosystem. When we heard the word GCC, which is Global Capability Centers, for the ones who aren't aware of, we hear the names such as cost advantage, efficiency, delivery, which are pretty much synonymous when we hear the word GCC, right? That story has served us really well over the years, but it's not the full story anymore. We have evolved as an India ecosystem from just being a +1 center to the MNCs to actually being a frenzy driver in transformation, right? Look at what all your organization, all the ones that are there in the audience doing now, right? We are experimenting with AI, we are developing products, we are also shifting the way in which the technology operates to the customers globally, which means that we have evolved from just being a delivery center to an innovation center, and these are just not for semantics, right? It's about what a true value creation actually looks like. If you look into the Converge over the last 4 years, or the one that is there in today, if you hear to every single session, that one question that we all think about is what's next, right? And that's where our panel truly stands on. What's next for value creation, right? Especially in this ever-shifting global landscape. While we think about it, that's where our panelists come in place who are at the heart of this transformation. We have Soumitra, we have Saurabh, and we have Priya here. So let's just dive in. Let's start with a reflection from each one of you, right? If I ask you a question in terms of describe with one phrase that what is the shift that your GCC is going through, and how do you describe that in a phrase? If you can go through it, and you can also tell us in terms of why.
Maybe I can start?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
So first, I'm extremely excited because I saw a lot of ex-Intuit over here and a lot of my old friends. But let me give a quick context about Intuit and myself, and then I'll dive right into your question. At Intuit, we are a technology platform company. We are into the fintech world. We serve our consumers, small businesses, and enterprises, about 100 million customers worldwide, through our 4 flagship product, which is QuickBooks, TurboTax, Credit Karma, and MailChimp. To your question around GCC being known as talent hub or execution center, I think that was a strength for GCC probably for last 10 years. That has gone and taken us to this place, but it's not going to take the GCC to the next steps.
Yeah.
GCC should not be known just for the scale or just for the talent hub, but they should be known for the innovation. They should be known for the innovation hub because, for example, at Intuit, if you think about the ownership and accountability that we are not just delivering to the roadmap that we have, but we are actually shaping that roadmap. We are shaping the strategy for the company. And for me, the phrase is more towards knowing GCC as the innovation hub than just the execution center.
Yeah, that truly reflects the Intuit journey as well over the last 20 years. Soumitra?
Thank you, Aishwarya, and good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. So I represent Lumen Technologies. We are an internet company who happens to be in telco. We are going through a massive transformation. We are reinventing ourselves as an internet giant. The reason I say that is the 70% of the world's internet runs through Lumen, just as a perspective. When you go to US and go to Starbucks, the internet you enjoy over there is powered by Lumen. So technology first is what defines us, and we are going through this major transformation, not just in India, in global. My charter here is to make sure that we are able to create the right ecosystem to fuel this transformation. And quite selfishly, I want Lumen India to be powering this transformation. We have been doing a lot of things around that, and to your question, the phrase is, I would say, innovation hub.
So we have 2 innovation hubs here. So tell us.
And we've not even talked among ourselves on like what that phrase was. First of all, thank you, Soumitra and Saurabh, joining us today for Converge. From a Walmart standpoint, I'm not going to talk much about Walmart because you already heard a lot about it from Suresh and Balu talking about that before. For Walmart, it is exactly the same. Being an innovation hub is exactly where we want to be, and I think we are there because we started as an execution arm for the global business. And over the years, last 12, 15 years, I mean, it has eventually gotten to an innovation stage where we are clearly a strategic partner for Walmart Global. If I can expand that a little bit, I mean, I think the only thing I would say is with the right culture, right? I mean, you heard Suresh talk about we are people-led, tech-powered organization. And that's the culture we foster with innovation being the focus.
That's amazing. Given that all three of you mentioned innovation, it also sets the tone for what we truly value creation looks like from India Center perspective. So coming back to you, Saurabh, you have led product teams, platform teams with global charters. We have seen your journey over the years, right? Tell us in terms of what true value creation from India looks like, and what do you think are the mindset shift that is needed from the India ecosystem per se?
Sure. And yes, I've been with this company for probably 2 decades now, or getting close to that. Let me just walk through our journey in terms of what it looks like, and then I'll talk about the mindset shift that we need to do. As I shared earlier, about 6-7 years back, when Intuit was expanding at the different sites, the big question was, what is the site identity? Why we need to exist in India? And it took us about 15 years to finally get to a clarity across the whole company. And to explain that, I need to go and take you a little bit about the tech strategy that we have. So at Intuit, the whole tech fabric is defined by something what we call as Intuit City Map. So think about it, that this is a representation of Intuit tech, and it's organized across what we call it as levels, from L0 to L3. So think about L0 level is like a group that is delivering based on 600 to 2,000 employees. And if you want to take an example, like whole identity system that works across the Intuit. Under those L0s, there are L1s, which are part of those capabilities, like authentication is another L1. What as a company we decided is that we need to have a clear ownership and accountability of each L0 and L1. Now, what happens is that we use this word co-create, and I don't say allergic reaction, but I think it's very confusing. There cannot be 2 owners for anything, and there has to be only single neck to choke. I feel that at GCC, we are extremely good in the ownership part of it, but still the accountability is somewhere else. And we absolutely need to exit away from that. If accountability is not in the India GCC, we cannot grow. We will continue to have this brand of expansion, hire 4,000 more engineers, and get the work done. So what we have done is that we have made a decision that if you own a capability, you'll own it for all of Intuit. And when you say all of Intuit, every single product you need to support. Now, there are a lot of challenges over there. Our customers are not sitting in India. Your capability goes down, you need to get up in the night and support that. But that's where the challenges come, and that's how the accountability is defined. So 5 to 6 years back, Intuit defined top 5 big bets for the company. They just defined 5 priorities that across the company we have to execute, and one of them is getting Intuit to a mid-market space. I won't go into the detail on how we got there, but finally the decision was made that this product has to be built in India, which means that you need to hire designers, you need to hire product managers, you need to hire engineers. But we were very, very clear. We are accountable leaders for this. We are not in a business that if something happens, we need to explain to somebody, and that somebody will explain to somebody else. That's where the true accountability lies. It took us about 5 years finally to hire the first engineer, to get to a place where we have like 200 plus engineers and delivering multi-million businesses from there. Now, what happens, our learning was that while we got the ownership, we got the engineering ownership, not the business ownership. And that's where the true learning was, that we need to move beyond engineering. And I keep telling folks at Intuit is, let's avoid using this word as IDC, the development center, because it's very closely connected to engineers. It's not bringing the true value that our GCC can bring in. So 2 years back, we again made a big decision where we moved one of the big L0, which essentially means the biggest capability at Intuit in India. Now, what happened first time is, think about that there are a lot of owners across the countries. They all now report back to India because the accountability sits in India, the ownership sits in India. And I think that's where the mindset comes about, is that how you can define the extreme ownership and accountability. Don't stop just being an owner of capabilities or owner of the work that you're delivering. Think that, are you accountable? how exactly you are leading from the front. And that what's really help us to still get to that journey of leading the GCCs and delivering big
That's
value.
truly a vision to action journey, right? That's what we keep telling to the GCCs that we work with. Have a clear, one audacious goal. Then now let's segment it into what is the next thing that you can go after. Let's take into the low-hanging fruit and then see the enablers that work on it, right? We completely agree with it, and that's a great journey. So Soumitra, tell us in terms of how different was your journey in terms of it, and tell us more from a value metrics perspective. Is there a particular metrics that you look into beyond cost when it comes to value creation?
Thank you. And sort of very well said about co-creation. I think there has to be clear accountability with one individual. So I'll build the story based on what Saurabh mentioned. Here at whatever I say, I'm speaking from my experience, not just at Lumen. I have been the same person with the same characteristics in my previous avatars as well. And there are people in this audience who know me, who what I've done. So from a value creation standpoint, right, I think gone are those days when we will have KPIs and dashboards and metrics which talks about month on month what is the headcount increase. I don't track that. We don't track about what's the efficiency that we're bringing into the system. Yeah. Simply because those are table stakes today. Like those define your existential criteria, right? I want to answer your question on three perspectives. First, what's the prerequisite for value creation? Second, the execution. And third, there are some pitfalls in that. Let's talk about prerequisites. When I say I'm going to add value, my GCC is going to add value to the organization, to me, there are three distinct ways in which you can add value. Either you add to the revenue of the company, sitting here in the GCC, or you dramatically re-engineer the OpEx, the operating expenses of your company, or create products or services which elevates your customer experience. These are the three tenets of success for any company, anywhere in the world, right? So as leaders, I think the prerequisite is we have to, number one, come out of this, do a jailbreak from technology. We all associate ourselves with technology. We are hardwired in technology, right? But to add value, you need to understand business. Technology is an enabler to business. What we have done here at Lumen is we leverage technology to build a homegrown platform, a gamified platform, to teach business to our people. It's important that every single individual in the organization understands what are our products, what are our services, what are our offerings, who our clients are, how we make money. And most importantly, I feel that top three layers in the leadership should be intertwined with business. They should be able to speak and communicate in business language. There should be opportunities where these leaders go onto the arena and play, not just be at the back supporting technology. If there's a field issue, I would expect myself to be right there on the ground. I may not be able to solve the problem on day one, but I can witness and learn from there. That's where Adhyana, the platform I was talking about, is meant to bring about a huge, not just an educational, but a cultural shift in the mindset. I strongly feel if we can appreciate and understand business, you can create products, services, or offerings which will either add to your revenue, OpEx, or to your customer experience. The metrics, I have a set of non-traditional metrics. So this was inspired by one of my previous stints. There was a metric called as Vitality Index. So Vitality Index is, and I know at least one person is smiling in this audience, the amount of revenue you create through a new product over the total revenue that's coming out of your existing products. So it's a way to rejuvenate yourself. It's a way to vitalize your product ecosystem, right? So very similar here at Lumen. I'm trying to get into metrics where we are able to quantify how much of a revenue impact has this product had. So we just created a new product right from scratch in India. We are launching it on 1st of September. And we are yet to see how much of an OpEx savings it has, how much of a CX improvement it delivers.
Got it.
That is true measurement of value.
Absolutely.
The pitfall that I wanted to talk about, most GCCs think, if we are automating, we are innovating. We are not. I want to call it out loud and clear. let us stop glorifying automation as innovation. Innovation clearly means we are creating a new product or a service or an offering which either adds to your top line, bottom line, or dramatically optimizes your OpEx or elevates your CX. That's my.
That's, yeah, please. Let's make it little quick.
I just love the point around the KPIs. This is something I thought I'll share with you because it's just 4 months we are making a big decision at the company. To your point, we publish so many metrics to show that effort being done.
Yeah.
But there's very few metrics to show that what is the outcome. So we defined our input goals, input metrics, but we define also the outcome goals and output metrics. What we have done in Intuit 4 months back is across the company, we are going to track only 2 things: new customer growth and service adoption. If you are an engineer, you cannot relate your work to these 2, just stop the work. So, and all the senior leaders will be rated across these 2 metrics only. Your work should, as you said, should drive the growth and should drive the revenue.
That's great. I think, Priya, we talked about the mindset, we talked about all these newer metrics, right? But at the end of the day, it all comes down to talent. So tell us, based on your experience, how are you shifting the culture from just being the folks doing the delivery to actually leading a lot of these efforts we discussed in detail?
No, that's a great question, Aishwarya. So yeah, I mean, at Walmart, we've been very intentional about that, right? We don't want to be a culture where it's only execution focused. We've been intentionally moving it from execution to ownership and leadership, and that's the only way for you to move the needle on the transformation of the hub. So there are 2 or 3 things. I mean, as you know, I mean, we have a great team of engineers. And if they are going to be sitting around waiting for someone to tell them what to do, we're not going to be tapping on their full potential. So very intentionally, there are 2 or 3 things which we've done as an organization. One being telling the engineers the why behind the what, right? What is the reason, or why are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? So the minute you pull them into that, into the strategy, they understand the customer pain points, they understand the bigger picture, they understand the business priorities. That is the time when the engineers will actually start asking better questions, they start challenging assumptions, and they come up with better solutions, right? So that's one thing which we have been very intentional about. The second thing is about the partnership between business and the engineering and the product. So that partnership has to be very, very strong for the engineering team to start leading. So what I mean is starting from ideation to roadmap planning to execution, they have to be partners in the journey. So that's another point for us of focus. The third one is about recognition, right? Rather than recognizing just delivery, we've started intentionally focusing on recognizing the thinking behind the initiative, right? That thought leadership behind the initiative is what we were focusing on. In fact, you know, someone who's identified a friction point in a customer journey, or someone who is actually automating something which is not part of their job. Or it could be just asking a question on why are we doing these things? So leadership is about that courage and curiosity, and we want to foster that. So that is one focus which we've intentionally done as well. So with all of that, I mean, at Walmart, I'm very, very clear that we are not just about doing things. We are just enabling our engineers to make sure that they have full capacity to lead, question, and shape the future of the retail tech.
Absolutely, I can totally relate to that, right? So as we talk about the talent, AI is another big force that's revolutionizing the way we operate, right? So Soumitra, you briefly touched upon it in your previous answer itself about the tool that's in the entire knowledge transfer. Can you talk a little bit more in terms of how other ways in which you are using AI from a value creation perspective? Saurabh, you can add to that as well. Yeah.
Sure. I think AI is everywhere now in our lives. It's the biggest buzzword, I would say. But we have been very intentional and conscious about how and where we deploy AI, right? It cannot be a broad paintbrush that you apply across the canvas. So January 2024 is when we intentionally started something. I raised my hand for an initiative which nobody else in the organization picked up, and that was about a Gen AI tool being used for engineers to drive their productivity. That was our beginning. Lumen India led the path towards adoption of that utility, and we have demonstrated 2 distinct things. One, a 37% improvement in feature throughput over the last 18 months without adding a headcount, which means the same set of people are now delivering more with the same capacity, but at a much faster rate. Our velocity has improved, and our cycle time has reduced from 44 days to 27 days, right? So that's a tangible impact I have shown to the CEO that without adding a headcount, using the right tools, you can drive productivity. But the intent of AI is not just limited to driving productivity. It's beyond that. It's about how you make a business impact. I think from that standpoint, we are discovering ourselves. We are at the very initial stage, but very consciously, we have been creating tools, utilities, and small products, which we are pushing into production and showing how OpEx needle is moving and how the CX needle is moving. We have had multiple instances where in the last 18 months, with a collection of different products and tools, we have been able to drive our CX up by 17%. That's a huge number. Now, in terms of the larger ecosystem, it has been recently constituted at Lumen, the AI Diffusion Squad, and the intent of that is to really identify opportunities in every line of business and centrally address those through technology solutions. And I'm a core leadership member of that team. I'm so happy that we were able to hire some really great talent from the industry because we were struggling with the talent. And we were speaking earlier, getting AI native talent is very difficult. Unless you go out in the market and hunt for those talent, it's difficult. So we were fortunate to get a few of them in-house. Now we are just about forming the army. We have our fundamentals set, and I think we'll be going full speed in terms of implementing machine learning models, Gen AI, LLMs, etc.
Yeah, looking forward for that journey for sure. Saurabh, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, this clock is killing me. It's 8 minutes left, so I need to be very, very crisp. But let me just share some data points, and I think you can infer we have been into this journey for 6 years. You won't believe, but if you go back and read and search, we've been talking about that at one day data becomes so important for us. So last 6 years, Intuit has been investing on the clean data to make sure that data can support. And as the AI trend came, it came to our advantage. I'll give you some data points. How many models we run every single day? We have 2 million AI models right now in production. You can search and figure it out how Intuit has gone to a place where a company has deployed 2 million models. We are into the hyper-personalization world. We used to identify a small business by few parameters. Today, we have 680,000 parameters for one small business, which means that there are 680,000 ways of identifying you as a person, you as a business. For an individual, we have about 60,000 attributes that we identify. So think about this. If I want to target a person with a hyper-personalized message, I have about 60,000 attributes about him, maybe like 40,000 I know, and think about the messaging that I'm going to communicate to you, which seems so personalized. So Intuit has been in the forefront of AI right now. There are a lot of work that you just said, but one thing we have done additionally is that we are very clear about being an AI native company first. The only thing is that we always start with customer problem first, and then figure it out whether AI is the right solution or not. There are still spaces where AI is not the right solution. But 6 months back, we released our four agentic AI experiences to our customers, and customers just love that. You can see our stock going so up because customers knows that how exactly, it's a 150% growth in 5 years. That's all because of the focus on AI and making sure that AI is solving not only just the efficiency part of it, but actually solving a real customer pain point, and that's where we are.
And I think you also brought into light the challenges that the organization need to look into even before thinking about AI, right? Like having the unstructured data, the legacy modernization, also from a people perspective, the entire change management of it, right? Which brings to you, Priya, like with the AI, it's about, tell us in terms of what are the new skills or the roles or the workloads that is coming into place from a GCC ecosystem perspective, and how do you see that evolution happening?
Yeah, so AI overall is redefining what productivity means these days, right? For us at Walmart, I mean, that translates to us seeing evolving roles and evolving skills in many ways. And the work is shifting from being an execution-focused work to it's more a judgment-based work. What I mean by that is a lot of your routine work is getting automated very quickly, right? I mean, so I can take an example. My team would take like weeks together when we do the engagement survey, employee engagement survey, which all of us would do annually. It would take weeks together for us to like look at the data, come up with the inference from that, all of that. This year, it literally took us few hours, right? Literally took us few hours to get the data together. We even created a podcast from that, right? I mean, so that's how quickly things are evolving, and we see that happen. So it's not about the speed of execution as much as it's the value that you create. The second aspect of it, I just want to make sure that we are sensitive on time. You have like literally 5 minutes left. How do we essentially look at some of these roles that are evolving? Like, for example, like product manager roles, right? Now a product manager is someone who understands machine learning. An HR professional is using AI tools to make sure that they are scaling a learning solution. So these roles are evolving as we speak, and I'm also learning as to how do we adapt our learning solutions to support these new career paths that are coming up, right? So it's a learning path for us as well. The only other thing which I would add on this is, how do we scale some of these learning solutions for across the organization? So now all of a sudden this journey is picking up pace, and you want to make sure that you're not leaving anyone behind. So Walmart is very focused on making sure that we provide the right learning solutions for our associates. And how do I scale that? How do I scale that for the organization is the other part which we are looking at as well. So in essence, we are a people-led, tech-powered organization. People-led comes first. And in this transformation, we want to make sure that we are supporting our associates, not just to survive this transformation, but we would like for them to thrive it.
Absolutely. That's a great way to end the answer as well, right? So Saurabh, I'll come back to you. Probably you can sum up all the conversation that we had, right? Let's say we think 3 to 5 years from now, from an India GCC perspective, which is one thing that we need to strengthen or probably build in order to become a global launchpad for innovation?
Sure. If you look across the industry, 50% of the GCC across the world is in India. We are about 1,400 GCC in India, serving probably employing about 2 million employees across. But if you look across the board, there are very few companies who are in the forefront of the innovation. And I think that's what we need to really, really think carefully about. GCC are going to change, but we don't know which side it will go. Unless we innovate, unless we recreate the value that we just talked about, it's a big risk for all of us. The 3-4 things that I would like to probably just share in terms of where we should focus on. The first one is developing a very deep craft. Many of you might not be aware of, but some of us know that there was a time when web development came. If you look at the industry trend, that is the year, that 3 years, all C, C++, Java work moved to India. Why? Because somebody else wanted to do a web development. What happened after that next 1 year? There are shops all across India teaching you web development. I promise that's exactly what's going to happen in India on AI. There will be a shop in Balandur teaching you all agentic AI development. So if you are on the AI track, it will become hygiene factor. Your presence and your knowledge on AI is not going to help you, but the absence is going to hurt you. So what we really need to now think about this is that how we are going to leverage the modern technologies to create that value system, to create and innovate further. The second one, I think, where we probably have a lot of opportunities is around collaboration. The GCC's collaboration. I don't think we have taken the advantage of a startup ecosystem that we just talked about, strategic partners that we just talked about, or even having amazing collaboration across GCC. But it's a pretty exciting space right now, and I'm very optimistic that we are talking about this right now, and in the next few years, we all will adopt where the industry will go and show the world that this is the place to innovate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to all the panelists in terms of sharing your views from a value creation perspective. We are also bringing in the audience as well in our discussion. So with the interest of time, let's just take 2 quick questions. One of the common questions that I'm seeing here is in terms of what will be the effect of tariff in the GCC ecosystem. Little controversial, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think tariffs are really going to hurt the GCC ecosystem, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the last 6 months, right? Like we have been talking about tariff. how many new GCCs have been opened in India? Actually, 3 got opened, right? So there is no, I don't think the appetite to leverage global talent is linked to change in the tariff policy, right? Businesses want to leverage global talent, and I don't think that appetite is going to go down, at least in the foreseeable future. So my gut feel, and based on analysis that I've done, I don't think that tariffs are going to have a very tangible impact in the way GCCs are functioning today. But
Yeah, no, I think well said, actually. In fact, our value proposition is the talent base, right? And that, I believe, is not going to be like changing anytime soon. So whether tariff or otherwise, I'm very optimistic it's going to be stable.
Probably the next question is for you, Priya. We discussed briefly about it when we were syncing up as well. How are you going to retain the existing employees considering the entire AI era? Is there any particular tool or methodology that you're thinking into?
See, the way to retention is very simple, right? In my mind, there is only so much you can do, like through the benefits and the monetary, aspects of stuff. I'm not saying it's not important. It is definitely important. But when you start creating that culture and when you start giving meaningful work for someone to come into work excited about what they are doing, that's what creates the retention. That's what creates attachment for that associate with the organization. So, all the years of me working, nothing trumps the fact that when you really create that for the employee, when you show them that path.
Absolutely, totally agree with, right? I think even from Zeno perspective, the one thing that we keep telling to GCC is that comp and ben is a bare minimum that you can provide to the employees. What is your unique value propositions where you stand
That's
out,
right.
right?
That's right.
I think, thank you so much for that. With that, we are coming to the end of this panel discussion.